Good morning, students, parents, small group leaders. We just heard in Eric's message, he talked about Psalm 23 and that God gives us rest. And that's a pretty profound statement. And so with that in mind, I want to shape this entire conversation around understanding that God gives us rest. There's lots of words in just that sentence that we should look into, but it reminds me of one particular verse, one of my favorite verses of all time. And what's interesting about this verse is that you'd read it and you not think anything special about this verse. But Psalm 23 and understanding God gives us rest kind of puts this verse into an amazing perspective that I want us to really read. So I'm going to read out of Mark chapter 1, verse 35. We just read through the book of Mark this year. And I didn't spend time teaching this verse, but I'm so thankful that the Lord gave us an opportunity to come back to this. This is an amazing, amazing verse. So Mark chapter 1, verse 35, it says this: "And rising very early in the morning, while it was still dark, he departed." He is Jesus. Jesus departed and went to a desolate place, and there he prayed. Why does this matter? Well, why does this verse stick out to me, and why talk about this verse? I want this to put this verse into perspective. This is Jesus. Jesus, up to this point, he started his ministry. He started to gather followers. In fact, Simon, right after this, comes and says, "Hey, we got more work to do. We got to go to these different villages and places." And Jesus is well aware of what's coming in his ministry. He knows that after this, when he starts and he goes into all these amazing towns and then he does these amazing works, and he does these miracles, he knows that he's going to be rejected by even his closest friends. That the people around him are going to turn their backs against him. He knew that the political powers were going to be going into his face calling him a liar. Can you imagine, the governor or the president comes up to you and says, "You're a liar, you're just a piece of filth," and then just rejecting you and rejecting you? So he knew that his friends were going to reject him, that political powers were going to reject him. He knew that from now on, people were always going to surround him and ask him questions and bother him. Now, he loves these people, and so he lives his life to serve them. But can you just imagine that everywhere you went, there was this huge crowd. Jesus this, Jesus that. Come do this, come do this. Constantly. He's about to start a life of busyness, of just craziness. It's going to be hectic. And so what does he do? Not even addressing the fact that he later knows that he's ultimately going to be killed and crucified. These people that tell him he's great and wonderful, these are the very same people that are going to crucify him. And then he would be risen. But at this moment, at Mark 1:35, understanding all this is coming, Jesus is well aware of what his life means and what's going to happen to him. And keeping all this in mind, what's he do? He rises very early in the morning while it was still dark. Everyone was asleep. No one was going to come and bother him. He departed and went out to a desolate place. A place no one is here. The middle of nowhere. No one is going to come and bother him. And what did he do? Jesus prayed. Jesus knew that, man, my life is going to get so crazy and I need to rest. And he does that by he isolates himself and he prays to the Father of rest, to the God of love, the God of peace. The only source of rest that we could ever go to is God. It's Jesus. So when we understand that God gives us rest, we have to understand just that God gives us rest. God does. Nothing else. And so my challenge for you this morning is to go and get rest. Today, implement rest in your life. And here's what I fear. I fear that so many of you just heard that, go get rest, and what you heard was go play a video game. Go watch a TV series. Go read a book. Go isolate yourself from people and get on your phone or go through social media. That's not at all what rest is. When I say go get rest, I mean go spend time with God and no distractions. Get away from the world. Get away from the games. Get away from the craziness of this disease. Get away from all the politics and go spend time with God. This is what I challenge you to do, is that there's a discussion guide on our website to go through this conversation and extend what we've been talking about. And then it's northpoint.tv/youth. And there's a discussion guide there. I challenge you to go through it. And in that discussion guide, there's a layout of what to do to go get rest, some real rest. If Jesus, the God of the universe, who can do all things and bear all things, if he even had to lay out in his lifetime for rest, then so do we. Our human bodies and our human minds can't deal with the craziness. So let's just go and get some rest. My prayer for you this morning is that you would rest in the goodness of God. Go to a desolate place. Maybe tomorrow you do it early when everyone is asleep, while it's still dark, and you go to a desolate place and you just be in the presence of God and find rest. That's my prayer for you.